When we talk about reaching the heights of American and Canadian in Major League Soccer, it starts here. The end product is the World Cup. The end product is MLS Cups, but it begins here. Man, oh man, does this kid live up to the hype. A second cross floated in. Serrano! Seattle Sounders with the goal! These 15-year-olds, these 16 and 17-year-olds, to go through tournaments like this, the adversity they face, because every single one of these players has the ability to play for your first team. Remember this when your first team lifts MLS Cups in the future.
Welcome to Field 4 at the 2022 Generation Adidas Cup. Final game of the day in Group G. Inter Miami, the group leaders, taking on Italian giants AS Roma. Good afternoon, Matt Peterson with former pro Bobby Warshaw. Inter Miami has clinched top of the group. AS Roma trying to get 3 points today and finish as one of a top 6 second-place finishers as we look at the standings.
Here we are, Matt. We made it here. The last game of the group stage, the tipping point. AS Roma needs 3 points to give themselves a chance to make it to the knockout rounds. And when you wear AS Roma on your jersey, you are expected to make it there. We can already see the energy and the pressure building for this side.
Now to the starting lineups for both these sides. First for Inter Miami under former MLS legend Javier Morales. 6 points from 6 games. A few to watch. Felipe Valenzuela, the first academy product to sign a pro deal with Inter Miami.
And we expect this team to play in a 4-3-3, both attacking and defending. They will try and be the dominant team, control the ball, and control the game.
Meanwhile, for AS Roma, under head coach Marco Chirali, 2-1-1 draws. They've lost in penalty kicks twice, and they come out in a prototypical Italian setup, 3-5-2, entirely horizontal.
They will, and you mentioned the losses in penalty kicks. It'll be interesting to see early how they react to that adversity. That could have been 2 additional points based on the setup here. They don't get it, and now they're fighting for their lives. We'll keep an eye early on the energy and the confidence they bring into this.
The teams are walking out. Inter Miami in its white uniforms, Roma in its orange and blue tops. Should be a great matchup to wind down Group G. Again, there's 10 groups at the GA Cup. Top 10, or a top finisher in each of the 10 groups automatically goes on to the round of 16, and then the 6 best second place finishers. So a win here would put them on 5 points. Maybe a 50-50 chance to go through, Bobby?
Yeah, and we will track the other results throughout the game, so stay tuned in to us. There will be drama over these next 60 minutes.
And for Inter Miami, still work to do from a seeding perspective. You want to be a top 8 group winner. That gives you a seed to not play another group winner. The 9th and 10th place finishing first place finishers would meet in the round of 16.
And we've seen how good some of these other teams are. The Manchester United U17s, the Philadelphia Union U17s. These are not groups you want to meet in that next round, because the ultimate goal at this point is win Generation Adidas Cup. Yes, this is a tournament about process. Yes, these players care about development. But at this stage in their careers, they also need to learn to win, and that is why they come to this competition.
Some games we'll keep an eye on with regard to the second place finish and what Roma may have to overtake. St. Louis against Columbus in Group B, and FC Dallas against Tigres. And over in Group I, Solar, a Dallas-based club against Toronto FC, and LA Galaxy against Colorado. Those are 4 of the matchups that might have big implications.
Matt, in this lineup today, I'm very excited to see this battle. Down Inter Miami's right side, Felipe Valencia was in the body armor rising 11 coming into the tournament. He'll be taking on AS Roma left back Eugene, so we will keep an eye on that battle throughout the game. One of the brightest young stars in Major League Soccer taking on a very competent outside back from the Italian Serie A youth ranks.
Inter Miami, 2 wins from 2 games so far. They beat Sporting Kansas City on Sunday. Benjamin Cremaschi in the 4th minute, then Samuel Bazabe in the 14th. And then yesterday, a 2-0 win against Portland Timbers. Ryan Destin and Kobe Thomas had the goals. Pregame moment for Joseph Converse. And here we go, the finale in Group G. Inter Miami on 6 points. AS Roma on 2 points. Miami trying for a perfect group stage. AS Roma trying for a win to give it its best chance at advancing to the knockout rounds. Inter Miami yet to concede a goal at the Generation Adidas Cup. A pair of 2-0 wins and a free kick given here early on. Famel Restrepo is our referee today in the middle of this one. And similar to yesterday, Bobby, the temperature rising as the day goes along. Feels humid for April. And 81 degrees at kickoff.
I love that we all turn into weathermen at GA Cup. The wind, the temperature. Yesterday we were talking about gust speed. I don't think I've ever talked about the gust speed in my entire life.
Up to 40 miles per hour just to beat a proverbial dead horse. And all the way back here to Angel Fernandez, one of several players born in 2006 in the starting lineup. In fact, it's a young back five, Sanchez Hall, and Abadia Reda in front of him, also born in 2006.
And you had mentioned at the top of the show that this Inter Miami team is coached by Javier Morales, former Real Salt Lake legend, won an MLS Cup, one of the best number 10s in league history. And if you ever saw him play soccer, you know what the sport means to him, and you can expect a similar ethos, a similar mindset about how they want to approach this game from the same Inter Miami team here today.
Been with the Miami Academy for a few years after retiring from Real Salt Lake.
And that's to say it'll be fun. If you saw Javi play, it was fun. He's put the same ideas into his team.
Now a deep block early on from AS Roma. 1-1 draws in each of their first two games, but they've lost on penalty kicks twice. It's unfortunate for them because at the GA Cup, they go straight to penalties. If you lose in penalties, you only get the 1 point from the match. If you win in penalties, you get 2 total points.
And it's a great challenge for Miami today, taking on this Roma's tactical setup. Because most of the games we see between MLS teams involve pressing, they're high energy. So to face a new look, and this is one of the objectives of this tournament, is to face international competition. So for Inter Miami to play a team more focused on their tactical shape, their block movement, will force Inter Miami to learn and adjust.
Fabrizio Marizatti, number 10 for AS Roma, was offside. He missed his shot past the far post. Now take us through the tactics, Bobby Warshaw. How does a five-man midfield that's horizontal work for AS Roma?
The main focus today will be for Inter Miami to try and pull Roma to one side, because the goal of this Roma setup is to allow nothing through the middle. So if you can keep them compact and bring them to a side and either play through the lines to get to the other side or the diagonal to an isolated 1v1 player, especially a player like Valencia over here on the right, then you'll be able to break through. But if you force the passes through the middle like we just saw, it'll create these transition opportunities for Roma. It's a game of cat and mouse. Who will keep their focus longer?
Good cross makes its way through to the top of the area. And a good win. It was intended there for Matteo Sicella. But it's won by Inter Miami, and it's out to the number 9. Brian Destin scored against Portland yesterday. He's a 2006 player. Makes a willing run in behind, but it's long for a goal kick. Vladislavs Razumejevis, a goalkeeper for AS Roma. Good size for the Roma goalkeeper. And we're hearing the instructions from Marco Chirali, the head coach of this AS Roma under-17 team. Again, to repeat, 30-minute halves here at the Generation Adidas Cup in the group stage due to the busy schedule, 3 games in 3 days for every team. 7 substitutions allowed. And if it's tied after 60 minutes, directly to a penalty shootout. Hard challenge there, and we immediately see Brian Destin down. Back to his feet. as he got into a challenge there with Mateo Playa.
And Matt, a topic that I know is near and dear to the heart of many people, that jersey game. How do you feel about these Roma jerseys today?
I like it. I'll be honest, I like it. Maybe it's not prototypical for their history, but I like the bright yellow-orange color. How about you?
You're a big sash guy, too. That doesn't surprise me. I like the classics, man. When you're one of these clubs with a brand, throw back the classic every time.
I am a traditionalist. Walking around the field yesterday, you guys are watching Manchester United. I'm looking for them. I thought they were FC Cincinnati.
That caught me off guard, too.
I'm like, where is Manchester United? Oh, it's right there. It's not FC Cincinnati. I want to encourage you to check out the Twitch stream, twitch.tv/MLS. Get your questions into the chat. We had some great love for Bobby Warshaw yesterday. We want to hear more. Put your questions there. We'll answer them, and we'll have some polls available as well. Any questions about the tournament? And we'll get to the questions throughout the broadcast. We had a very astute fan, Bobby, in the last game, 2 games ago, noticed a goalkeeper change at halftime that helped us out. Back to Vladislav Razumievas.
And here we see Inter defending in a high mid-block, coaxing Roma into certain spots before they press. Again, something unique. We often see, especially when teams play to the wind, like Inter Miami have at their back, that they press immediately to the ball. Here we see Miami waiting a couple passes. This time, it coaxes Roma into the long ball. But Roma picks up the second ball, which will be a key matchup. Who can get to the second balls more, especially when it's played into the depth in the second lane?
Free kick won by AS Roma. Matteo Cicella, number 14, preparing for the restart. A few of these Inter Miami players have had recent professional experience with Inter Miami 2. Benjamin Cramashi scored in Inter Miami 2's second match of the season, his first professional goal. Cramashi available off the bench this afternoon for Javier Morales. And do you think it's a difficult mentality today for Inter Miami as the ball cycles wide? They're already through to the round of 16. That shot not far off the mark, just a bit high from about 30 yards out.
Absolutely. It's a unique challenge for these young players. It's always a unique challenge as a player to try and get yourself motivated every day. When you don't have as much on the line, it takes a little extra something. Head coach Javier Morales has tried to rotate players, has tried to give players their first chance who will be biting at the opportunity to show what they can do to their head coach and maybe start in those future knockout games.
Good passing there, but an excellent step. That was Mattia Manini, number 7, pushing forward for AS Roma. Now it's Miami back the other way. Felipe Valencia, number 28 for Inter Miami. Leaves it here for Sebastian Otero. Good organization. A feint of a shot there from Valencia. And finally cleared by the Italians. Activity brewing in the Twitch chat. Search MLS or just go to twitch.tv/MLS. Who do you all think will win the final and why? I love the directness there from NX Top 2013. Start with you, Bobby.
It's a great question because the traditional powers at the under-17 age group, River Plate and Flamengo, have not been as strong. We just saw in the last game of the day, Flamengo, who is always one of the best teams at this age group, has been knocked out, eliminated out of the group with Philadelphia Union and LAFC, which for me, Matt, really leaves those two as the favorites. We've seen what they can do in multiple games now. Philadelphia Union going undefeated through the group stage. So I think that those two, especially since they can't meet in the next round, will be the two favorites, the Union and LAFC.
I'll go a different route at U17. I'm going to have co-favorites from MLS, San Jose Earthquakes. From Europe, I'll go with Manchester United. I think the one thing with Manchester United I would be worried about is their turnovers in bad spots today. Minnesota did not capitalize, but they gave Minnesota many opportunities right in front of their area. Minnesota wouldn't capitalize. So I would put those two as the best teams I've seen.
Yeah, and how about everyone that's out there in the chat? Who have you seen? If you've been watching these games, we're now on day 4, 8 hours of streams a day. We love it. We hope you're joining us for it. If you've seen teams, let us know who we should be watching, what players, what individual moments, what groups. We want to hear what we should be looking out for.
you see classic Italian style here. They're the more desperate team, but they're going to stick with their principles, build slowly, grow into this game is the early plan from AS Roma.
It is. And Matt, early on what we're seeing is actually, even though it was on our team sheet that they were going to play 5 in the back, so far it appears to be more of a 4-4-2. 2 strikers playing off of each other, 2 center backs and 2 center midfielders in front of them.
Yeah, we do know that there is some gamesmanship. You might draw one tactical lineup and throw a little wrinkle at the opposing side. That's all part of it at every level.
I love it. I love tactical gamesmanship as long as they put the lineup graphic out clean. Give me where the actual positions are. Even if you're lying to me, put them in positions. Do not just give them alphabetical. That is all we ask in this world.
Here we see the organization from AS Roma. 3 across the back, a high line right in midfield, a 5 set in midfield here. The wing backs come back to help.
That early contact is fantastic from Inter Miami number 9, Brian Destin. So often we see these young strikers allow the big center backs to be the first to make contact, to put the forward off their mark. But if you can lean in early, get your balance, either it sticks to you or at least you throw them off from having to shove it back down your team's throat. Love that to start here from Brian Destin.
Another to watch for Inter Miami, Bobby, is Tyler Hall. He's from 2006. He started Inter Miami to his first MLS Next Pro match, which made him the youngest starter in the league in week 1. A turnover here. It's Felipe Valenzuela, known as Pipe. Pipe into the box. Shoulder-to-shoulder challenge. Well done. Clean challenge. No whistle. And now AS Roma tries to clear.
Yeah, well defended, and for me, a good no call. When the defender puts that leg in there, they then get control of the moment. It's their ball. When Valencia tries to go through, a good no call.
Free kick 1. Alejandro Flores commits the foul. As we go back to the Twitch chat, Geek2You has a question. Loving the stream. Thanks for doing this. We just do not get to see this strong play in Idaho.
Love that. Thank you. And to add to that, a special shout out to our crew out here. The people bringing you the cameras, the production truck. The wind is strong. It's blaring down. Everyone is doing an awesome job. Thank you so much to everyone doing this with us.
Yeah, we had a chance to speak with the camera operators. Great crew. About their center of gravity, staying low. The camera stations are anchored well to the ground, but it's a long day in the sun and wind for our great crew. And what would you tell an Idaho native about finding soccer in their area and seeing quality soccer in that great state?
It's a great question, because one of the main initiatives of this MLS Next program is to broaden the grassroots efforts across the country. It's not just about the 30 Major League Soccer teams. It's really about all of these youth clubs all throughout the country, the affiliates, the non-affiliates, ensuring that there's a rising tide across the country.
I would guess Boise's a growing city. We'll see a USL championship team there within the next 5 years. Would you take that wager?
I don't wager on cities I've never been to, but Boise is somewhere on the bucket. It's definitely in the top 150 on my bucket list.
Now Boise's growing. It would be a natural fit. Support local soccer wherever you are. We appreciate the shout out from Idaho. Again, jump into the chat. Twitch.tv/MLS. We have Bill Shakes. He's been active all week. He thinks Celtics being slept on. Any thoughts on that?
I can understand why you say that given the results. I would not say their performances have been as strong as the points would indicate, especially in the second half. The fellas coming from Scotland are not used to the 2 p.m. heat that hits here in Frisco, Texas.
Nice sliding win. AS Roma looks very engaged, very organized here in the early stages. It's good work from Bua Eugene, number 13, the left back in the 3-5-2. A chance here from the Italians, pushing forward, waiting for support. Good work tackling back there from Inter Miami, Cesar Abadia Reda.
And we talked about the cat and mouse back and forth. It is mental as much as anything. Which team is going to make the mental mistake first? Roma moving side to side, waiting for the stray pass from Inter Miami. And there it came before they got pulled out of shape. A great opportunity, and that's exactly where Roma will expect their chances to come from today.
More work in the chat. Hopefully Austin Arnott, we might be. I've been impressed by LAFC, San Jose, and Celtic from Legate Blake. I think Charlotte and Seattle advance out of the group. Hoping Sporting Kansas City can find a way through. Miami builds out of the back. Angel Fernandez, the goalkeeper. 4-3-3 setup as you described, Bobby. Midfield three of Alejandro Flores, Joseph Converse, and Sebastian Otero. Tyler Hall, one of the star players on this team. We mentioned his participation for Inter Miami 2 first week of the season, making him the youngest player in that division. But a consistent U.S. U17 youth national team call-up. Wore the captain's armband in the most recent camp. Miami pressing, but AS Roma comes away with the possession. All the way back, Razumeevas. Fernando Sanchez. Mikhail Kies. Flores.
Love to hear Inter Miami under-17 head coach Javi Morales, the former MLS legend, talking to his team. Yes, yes, keep it going, keep it going. Yes, the energy he has on the sideline. It's like he's the one, number 10 again, asking for the ball, demanding.
That's a great build-up. They found it on this left side, but the offside flag comes up.
But this is what you want to see from Inter Miami. We talk, when you play a team in a tight block like Roma, you need to move it quick. All you're trying to do is move them side to side. Wait for a player on Roma to lose their focus. And as soon as that happens, you break the line and you attack forward. A great sequence there from Inter Miami.
Good work to stay on side from Destin. Hold up play to Valenzuela, but he lost it. Now AS Roma has room to break. Joao Gabriel. Slowed down by Sanchez. Gabriel gets to it first. Nice ball to the back post. No runners there, though, for AS Roma.
No. As this game develops, Matt, one thing to keep an eye on with the theme of Javi Morales is it's not just the development of the players, but also for these young coaches. This is a chance for them.
There's a shot right to the hands of Angel Fernandez.
This is a chance for a Javi Morales, a Shaw Reed Joseph, these former players who were so good to hone their skills as head coaches and move up the ranks. And what I'll be keeping an eye on is, how do you manage this tactical game? Right now, Roma is clearly waiting to catch Inter Miami in a mistake and get them on the break. So what are the levers that you can pull as a head coach to make sure that doesn't happen? What do you do with your defensive midfielder? What do you ask of your outside backs? What type of passing do you do from the center midfielders? And yes, the players are responsible on the ball, but it's also up to the head coach here, Morales, to help dictate that through the next 40 minutes, given the situation in the game, with Roma consistently waiting for the mistake to catch him on the break.
More questions coming from our Twitch chat. Please keep them coming. Twitch.tv/MLS. Favorite U15 round of 16 matchup from James Fraga. Well, the matchups aren't yet decided. They're not yet finalized. We have to wait for all of the U15 games to be completed, which will happen tonight. But we can go through some basic guesswork. Similar to U17s, it will be the top 8 first place finishers, which will be seeded.
I panicked there for a second, Matt. I said, what's the bracket?
Yes.
I forgot what the bracket was. It's because it hasn't been made yet.
Yes.
I guess, no, the U15 bracket has been made. It starts today.
Okay.
So we will get that bracket in front of us. It's a great question. The U17 bracket has not been finished.
It's great strength.
That was a roller coaster of emotions there.
Thought Bobby lost his keys for a moment. But we see the number 5, John Paul Tuwadi, big bruising center back there doing his job. 2 changes coming for Inter Miami again. Load management. Love that passing sequence through there.
Just fantastic. The around the corner for the 1-2, it's impossible to stop. If you're able to check your shoulder in advance, just hook it around the corner and the defender, and then move, so hard to stop. Love that.
2 changes coming for Inter Miami. They're going to be extra careful today. Assured a place in the round of 16. To manage the workload. 3rd game in 3 days. Offside flag is up. It's a restart coming for AS Roma as Javier Morales goes to the bench with 2 changes. Israel Boatwright is one of those 2 coming on. The other, Pedro Fife. Boatwright goes by Izzy. And Fife will enter for Joseph Converse. Captain's armband passed from Tyler Hall.
And this seems like load management, Matt. Here we see the captain Hall, who's played the first 2 games coming off, as well as Converse. Key components of this team. They got 20 minutes. They got their legs moving. Rest them for what is a guaranteed knockout round next and get other players minutes to show what they can do.
Sounds crazy, but maybe like a 20-minute regeneration session.
Exactly.
Sanchez back for Israel Boatwright. Boatwright now partners Mikhail Keys. Back to Fernandez under some pressure before he clears.
Again, what a handful from Miami number 9, Brian Destin. And that's exactly what you want to see. Even if you're not going to bring it down yourself, can you make enough contact so that the defender doesn't cleanly put it back down into your half? And there we saw Valencia get on the second ball, and now Miami moves up possession 50 yards.
All right, more quality questions from the chat. One from Blanc 369. Sorry if this is silly. Is this a somewhat smaller field? It feels like big enough to us.
It feels normal, and the way I usually look, at least horizontally, is near the 18-yard box. There's always a dash. That dash is 10 yards from the corner flag so that the referee knows and make sure that it's 10 yards from the set piece. So whenever you look at that dash, then you know it's 10 yards from the corner. How far is it then from the 18? And when a field is narrow, it's pretty clear. Your mind knows how wide it should be. So when I look at this field, it looks to me like a very normal width. And then just a basic look, and having played here professionally on these fields, the length is regular as well.
And there is some variance allowed. I think the minimum now is, 70 yards wide. You can go as wide as just past 80. So not every field is the same.
You would definitely be a small field type of manager, pressure, chaos. Me, I'm a big field kind of guy.
I love a big field. All the way back to Angel Fernandez. Okay, more good questions. Colts cardboard. Wow, RSL legend Javier Morales. That guy was a baller.
So good, so good. And you know that you're spectacular when not just the fan, you're a legend among the fans, but Javier Morales is also a legend among his former teammates and other players. Anyone that ever played with him or against him, when you talk about the good old days, he's always one of those people that comes to mind, not just because of how good he was in the field, but also an incredible person. So friendly, so warm, and so welcoming to everyone around him.
Advantage played. Fernando Sanchez is down, grabbing his shoulder behind the play. Miami will play on. And now Sanchez back to his feet and back to his position. Comment from Blanc 369, 14-8 are monsters. Is this U17? We can confirm it is under 17.
That one we got.
And I would assume he's talking about Mate Ivkovic, number 8 for AS Roma, and number 14, Matteo Cicella. Two of the central midfielders. To reset, this is Group G. It's the finale Inter Miami is through with 6 points from 2 matches. AS Roma worked to do 2 points from its first 2 matches. Roma needs a win and some help in some other games to finish as one of the 6 best second-place finishers. You have 10 groups of 4. The 10 first-place teams advance, plus the 6 best second-place finishers. That comprises the round of 16. A question for you, Bobby, from Quilhan. Which player are you most excited to see more of?
There were multiple players in Austin FC, including right winger, a member of the under-7 youth national team setup, Michael Burton, as well as their midfielders, Ordonez and Ariano. In a surprise result yesterday, however, they lost to the Seattle Sounders. So we expected Austin FC to be one of the strongest groups in the knockout rounds. That's up in the air right now. Beyond that, the San Jose Earthquakes had Nico Sagaris and Cruz Medina, who really shined. The Philadelphia Union brought Pierre as a substitute onto the second half. He's been the best game changer we've seen, and I am a sucker for someone who can come on late in the game and totally change the dynamic, which he did.
Free kick coming.
And with the wind here, the wind isn't as strong in this moment, but we've seen how precarious these free kicks can be. If you get the texture of it right with the spin and the speed and the wind, it's so unpredictable for the goalkeeper to try and come gather.
Restart for Inter Miami, put in the mix by Fernando Sanchez, right to the waiting hands of Vladislavs Razumejevic.
And that's smart from Keys, too, because at the midfield line, it was numbers up from Roma. If they could have gotten that punt off, Inter Miami was in trouble. So for the center back Keys to step in.
And that is just past the near upper corner. Spectacular hit, Fabrizio Marazzacchi.
And it didn't matter in the end because Roma still got their numbers up situation. Miami caught out. We've talked about they are the ones who do not have to be the protagonist here. They can respond. But they caught out here in the counter. The one thing they don't want to happen, a great transition from Miami, and the first real warning shot of this one.
By the way, from the chat, Squad 006 telling us Chelsea leading 3-0 at Real Madrid. It's a 4-3 aggregate lead. Quarter hour to go. Shout out to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Roma putting on the pressure, hoping for a slip-up. It's from Zengen. Good layoff from Brian Destin. In the path of Alejandro Flores. Too heavy of a pass. Intended for Italo Adamandi, number 19, the left winger for Inter Miami.
That touch from Destin, though, to get the position, to get the balance. And then the little layoff flick with the outside of the right foot to bring his teammates into it. A really impressive half from Brian Destin so far.
Comment from MR Mujak. Certain teams prefer smaller pitches and design their whole game around that. Specifically, Watford, Southampton, and Brentford.
Did not see the Watford shout out coming in the Twitch, but I respect it.
Cross headed straight in the air. And it's a throw in far side of the field for Inter Miami. AS Roma needs to win this game to have a chance to make it through to the round of 16. So far, scoreless through 29 minutes. Your thoughts so far, Bobby?
Inter Miami needs to, or should feel good about this first half. They've had control. They've put the emphasis for Roma to have to come out of their block and cause problems because they're not going to allow it to be easy. And for Roma, we've said time and again, they need 3 points. They have to win. So far, they've waited for an Inter Miami mistake that has not really come. So what will they do at halftime to become more of the protagonist in this game?
Italo Adamandi with the switch to Fernando Sanchez. Sanchez comfortable. Out wide here, Felipe Valencia, the Inter Miami homegrown player. picked as a best 11 selection by MLS Soccer on its website before the tournament. And Travis Clark with the picks there.
Now I'm just looking at the shape on the field right now behind the ball, which people can't see in their screen. But Miami has both outside backs moved forward. It's just the two center backs and the one defensive midfielder with two Roma players high.
Felipe Valencia. First time strike is in! Wonderfully done! Inter Miami right before halftime. They were patient, they were calculated, and you can't strike a ball better from that for an opening goal.
What a strike by center midfielder coming into the game, taking the captain's armband immediately. Pedro Fife, 20 yards out, the bend, the curl, the pace, puts Inter Miami up 1-0. And you can't help but watch that goal and think of another person associated with the Inter Miami organization.
Gonzalo Higuain?
I was going to go more of the David Beckham route.
Okay. Coming in from an outside position for a strike like that. Halftime at Field 4. Inter Miami atop the group and now atop AS Roma at halftime. Off the substitutes bench, Pedro Fife. Set up by the danger man, Felipe Valencia. Work to do for AS Roma. 1-0 Inter Miami at the half.
As players and coaches continue evolving towards a brighter future, the constant battle of reality versus expectation is one many involved in youth soccer constantly face. The reality being, developing a player to transcend and become a professional is a long road indeed.
A U12 player might not make our U13 team the following year. And so we made that very clear at the beginning, that this is the pyramid moves in this direction and it gets harder and harder to get to the top, and the grand minority earn a professional contract and the grand minority play on the first team.
Luchi Gonzalez, the academy director at FC Dallas, knows all too well the struggles within an academy structure to develop players. But the key to success for Luchi and FC Dallas isn't only about the on-field product. It always transcends more than just that.
We don't see our first team at the top. We see FC Dallas family at the top. They're trying to develop to be an FC Dallas family member for the rest of their life. So they whether they play in our stadium or not, or whether they play in Europe, or whether they play in our senior national team, or whether they play college, or whether they're going to be a doctor, or whether they're going to be a teacher, or whether they're going to be a coach themselves, they're always going to be welcome to our stadium as a fan and as a family member. And so that idea starts at the bottom. So it's important that as a director, I communicate the realities of the pathway, but at the same time create measurable goals for each player and each family, and ask the questions of why are they in the program? Well, I want to be a professional player. Okay, why else?
The development is a long-term process. That for every individual player there is a plan, and different players mature at different times, and you just got to trust the process. With the club investing so much resources and so much time, energy in terms of each player, we truly have a belief that each one of them has a long-term chance.
They could get cut. They could get moved to a premier team. They could end up being on a national team. And then we got to balance that mentality and how to handle that responsibility of representing your country. They could be getting trainings with the pro team or not. They could be getting a college scholarship or not. They could be talking with agents or not, and then all those situations in the pathway with each one being different in each age, we have to make sure that we're communicating very clearly with the parents. And as the player gets older, they're becoming more independent. So with the older age groups, it's really more clear communication with the player because he's a young man at that point, and making sure that we set goals with them that they're responsible for, that the club is responsible for supporting, but that are measurable and that are realistic. And within that process, by the time they're 16, 17, 18, they see it. They see when maybe they're going to get offered a contract or not, or they're professional bound or college bound. But guess what? We will never, our attitude is that anybody can make it at any moment, and it's never too late. We will never tell a kid, you're not going to make it. Because I've learned in this business, never say never with these kids. There's late developers, psychologically, physically, mentally, technically, tactically. So we want to be realistic with the kids, but we don't take away their dream either. But at some point, we do guide them in a direction that's going to favor them to have options and to stay in a pathway.
As the path forward becomes more and more clear for players, what does the future hold? Will North America soon be at the forefront in producing world-class caliber talent?
We are at the beginning of the story in the US. I would say, if I compare with other countries, our country is a baby country. So it will happen. I cannot tell you when, but more and more we will produce very good kids and high-level players. Why? Because right now, when you are 6 and 7 years old, you can play soccer pretty often.
These kids are growing up, and now their dream is to be part of the first team of FC Dallas, of the LA Galaxy. So the fact that they can now see that there's an opportunity, that our clubs are giving these kids that are coming through the academy to play in the first team, it's only going to open up the future more and more.
The game is at the middle of everything we do. The game is at the middle of our business in MLS. The game is in the middle of our development. It has to revolve around soccer. So I think that's where we as a country need to continue to strive to get better and educate ourselves and be curious to learn concepts from all over the world, and not generalize this game. This game has a lot of little details and is very thorough, and it's important that we answer for these players in training, that we answer the questions of why, how, when, where in our training environment, so that our kids can understand references and be prepared as they get older to be a high-level player and a world-class player.
I'm excited that I feel like the next generation of coaches, the ones that MLS is heavily investing in, it's a younger generation. I think we're all hungry for knowledge. We're here to get better. And when we get better, our players are going to get better, right? When we get these competitions, our players are going to get better. They are exciting times, in this country, and I feel the potential to catch up to the rest of the world powers is there. The sooner the better, right?
Welcome back. It's the Generation Adidas Cup from Field 4. Coming out of halftime, Inter Miami, the group leaders in Group G, lead AS Roma 1-0. Well-taken goal from Pedro Fife off the substitutes bench. And Javier Morales goes to the bench for a third change. Brian Destin has been taken off, and he's been replaced by Kobe Thomas, who also scored a goal yesterday against the Portland Timbers.
Yeah, Thomas has been the starting center forward for this team through the first 2 games. But Matt, Brian Destin showed very well for himself. Held the ball well, connected his teammates, was a menace all game up there. A good showing to make a statement that he should be in the lineup moving forward.
Bobby, AS Roma has work to do. They must win this game to have any hope of advancing to the round of 16. What tactical changes would you like to see?
They naturally need to become more adventurous at this point. When you need 2 goals over 30 minutes, you cannot continue the concept of waiting for mistakes, because a club like Inter Miami with these players and this smart coach won't give it to you. We just saw 30 minutes that were basically flawless, if not in perfect, beautiful execution, but in the way they approached the opening half. So Roma has to make an adjustment that allows them to take more chances, press higher, be more adventurous with their passing.
Throwing far side for AS Roma. Good defending, but alive here for the Italians, and clear. It was Joao Gabriel with the initial chance, and then it fell to Materazzi. It's picked up here. Kobe Thomas back the other way. Leading the break, it's Thomas. Support to his right. Thomas dispossessed.
I like that the referee allowed a play on there. Soccer is more fun when it's flowing. Was there contact? Yes. Would many referees call it? Absolutely. But for my preference, I appreciate that those tight calls get allowed as long as it's both ways in open play to allow the game to move.
Across the back, Izzy Boatwright, the new center back, who replaced Tyler Hall halfway through the first half.
I like this analysis by Colt Cardboard on here. Agreed. Inter Miami smooth with their passing, smooth with their movements, controlled every phase of that first half. I always keep an eye on whether they would allow mistakes and expose themselves pushing numbers forward, but they didn't. Everything about what they did was smart and methodical. An excellent open 30 minutes from Inter Miami.
With Kobe Thomas on, worth mentioning that there's a few players available today for Inter Miami that have featured for Inter Miami 2 and MLS Next Pro this season. Miles Perkovic, Kobe Thomas, who just entered, Benjamin Kramashi, and Tyler Hall. Each of the 4 making their pro debut. Cut back, he is in. Clip to the middle, settling off the knee and clearing. More good dribbling. He is onto his left. Good cross, and it's pushed away. Razume Evis. More danger from Inter Miami.
And so much sauce on that. From a left back to chopping and dicing.
There's the goal skater, Pedro Fife, wearing the captain's armband after the departure of Tyler Hall. Inter Miami looking very assured. Well, Bobby, we welcome your questions in the chat, twitch.tv/MLS. A good one from the first half we were not prepared for, but now we have the bracket in front of us. The U15 round of 16 is set. It begins tonight. And I'm going to ask you about a few specific matchups, beginning with Real Salt Lake and Austin.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. Austin FC just 4 years into their academy right now, led by academy director, former professional center back Tyson Wall. They've been impressive at both age groups, but I need to take RSL in that one, largely because RSL, led by Andrew May at that age group, play the game at such a fast pace. A lot of teams want to play the beautiful game, and that RSL team says, first, you need to match our intensity and the speed at which we are going to play. So I will take RSL at the under 15 age group in that first round.
Free kick given. I don't think Famel Restrepo saw the foul, but then he saw the shoe missing.
Always a sign.
Always a sign.
When the shoe is gone, you know you should look twice.
Yeah, so he sees Sebastian Otero missing a shoe, and he blows the whistle, and now he'll give a free kick.
2 basic rules of this sport. 1, if a shin guard falls out, that guy's a baller. And number 2, if a shoe is missing, it's probably a foul.
All right, continuing with our U15 matchups you're most excited about, Bobby Warshaw. The round of 16 is set. It begins tonight. Atlanta United and Monterrey.
We had a chance to watch Atlanta United on one of the side fields yesterday, and they were very impressive. Specifically, when they found a yard of space through midfield, they were able to pick up their heads and play cultured balls in behind the back line. Think of what you see from a Trent Alexander-Arnold at the professional level, inside of the foot, outside of the foot, bending behind the back four, led to multiple breakaways. So I'm going to take Atlanta United in that one.
Good energy up this side from AS Roma. It's one back. Really impressed by Cesar Abadia Reda. He's from 2006. He wears number 22. He's been up and down this left side.
Yeah, he's been a force both offensively and defensively, and we saw that sauce he brought down in the corner to leave the defender sitting down.
All right, another U15 matchup I want to ask you about. The bracket is set. Quarterfinal start tonight. U15 LAFC against Montreal.
Of all the teams we've seen here on Field 4 and broadcast on YouTube and Twitch, I think that under 15 LAFC team might have been the brightest. Two center backs who are so calm at playing through pressure, a defensive midfielder that loves to get on the ball, and then three attackers that can be equally dangerous. They're probably the favorite heading in to the knockout round at the under 15 level.
Good forward run. The shot does not come off, but another warning sign from Fabrizio Materazzi, the number 10 for AS Roma. Great analysis from Bobby. The matchups starting at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern. In the round of 16 for the U15s. Here we see the high pressure from AS Roma. Inter Miami will try and play out of it. Is he Boatwright with the forward ball? Throw in here to Inter Miami. Inter Miami has already won the group, 6 points from its first two matches, trying to finish with 3 wins and best possible seeding. For AS Roma, they must win this game and hope for a little bit of help. There's 10 groups. The 6 best second place finishers will go through to the round of 16. We don't know exactly the minimum point total that must be had, but we're going to have an update on that from the third member of our team, David Goss.
Well, if you guys want drama, get this. Every single game is 0-0. I don't even know how that's possible, but I will do this. I am here to cover these for you, but if you want the real business done, there's 5 Atlanta United parents sitting over there watching every single game. They've got the coverage for you. That's our version of CNN. So still a lot to be decided around the fields. The feeling, talking to a few people who helped organize from yesterday at the U15 level, 5 points, you should feel safe to get through. 4 points, questionable for any team to get to the next round. So I will update you guys on if a single goal gets scored. Keep having fun.
Thank you. Great analysis from our chief scores correspondent, David Goss.
And he tied in Atlanta well with the mention of CNN. Headquartered in Atlanta. A couple more comments from the chat room. We welcome your comments and questions. Twitch.tv/MLS. This is from James. I've been really impressed with Charlotte for being a pretty new academy and what they've been able to do. What do you think contributes to them coming in as Roma pushes for the tying goal? Oh, he's inside the 6. He'll try the smash, and it's closed out well by Angel Fernandez. It's out for a corner. Went for the power from 4 yards away.
Great 1v1 moment from Inter Miami goalkeeper Angel Fernandez, coming out with the blocking approach. Gets one knee down, makes his arms as big as possible, takes away as much of the goal as possible, and gets that left arm on the shot to deflect it wide.
Corner kick coming for AS Roma as they seek the tying goal. Short option there. Is Mattia Manini. It's the long way. Off the hands and headed out. May have been going wide, but Izzy Boatwright took no chance, bailing out Angel Fernandez.
Great work from Boatwright. You always know as a defender, when your goalkeeper comes to claim like this, you need to retreat in behind on the goal, go off those 2 shoulders, just in case this happens. You trust Fernandez, but goalkeepers at every level will spill it every now and then. Boatwright, a great reaction.
Back-to-back corners before the second one. Famel Restrepo, the official, will sort things out. That's a dangerous ball, well handled by Angel Fernandez. Now that is something I would love to see leave the sport, is the goalkeepers falling over.
I think you get one step. The fourth step, you're no longer allowed to do it.
I love for it to go away entirely.
But
when they're athletic people, we see how good they are with their feet. We see they make great saves, but they can't catch a ball without standing up. Here comes Angel Fernandez to clear it to midfield.
Credit to Fernandez for grabbing that, though. He spills the one before you think the confidence might be shaken. He comes out full belief, strong hands, brings it down.
All right, Bobby, back to the chat room. We were beginning this question from James. He's been really impressed with Charlotte. What do you think contributes to them coming out and being this impressive after a very short time of existence?
Charlotte is in a fantastic soccer part of the country. Of course, Duke, North Carolina, the Raleigh rivalries. They've hosted youth tournaments for a long time. I remember as a kid, Triangle FC, one of the best organizations. So for 2 or 3 decades, they've had a talent-rich area, and it was only a matter of time before an MLS team came in there and really helped cultivate it, really helped take it to the next level. There's so much great grassroots work happening there. So that's all to say, I'm not surprised at all that they've been able to come and hit the ground running.
A few changes coming for AS Roma. Continue to give us your questions in the Twitch chat room, twitch.tv/MLS. As Roma goes to the bench, Alessandro Cavicchielli will enter number 2. Cavicchielli is on, along with Paolo De Angelis, number 15.
Matt, I'm hearing cheers from elsewhere, so that means somebody in this complex must have scored a goal.
David Goss will meet those Atlanta United supporters and find out who. The 2 have departed for AS Roma, Mate Ivkovic and Panagiotis Karagiorgis. Low delivery is blocked. Another shot handled there by Angel Fernandez. The one thing I would add, Bobby, to your point about Charlotte, sometimes a clean slate is nice. We've seen this with St. Louis. You have an entire pool to fill. You can go wherever you want, outside of your market, within your market. No disrespect to existing clubs, but it's hard to move on from players when you're new, like St. Louis, like Charlotte. You really start from scratch and have your pick of the litter.
And you get the benefit of watching the template of other organizations. Atlanta United a few years ago, LAFC, who have been so successful, even Austin the last couple of years. So if you are a Charlotte or a St. Louis, you can look at them and say, how did you do it? What worked? What didn't? And we're going to steal that best practice.
It's on for AS Roma. The Italians continue to threaten. Oh, what a save from Angel Fernandez. He held his ground so well at the last moment. Joao Gabriel seemed to have scored, but Fernandez keeps the 1-0 lead.
The full toolbox from Fernandez in this second half. This time it's about the reactions. He doesn't come out. He doesn't make himself as big as possible for the block. Instead, he stays in goal, gives himself time, and it's the reaction on the right leg to make the big save this time.
Another corner kick coming. It's been a nice push here from AS Roma. They need 2 goals. They are coming close to scoring the tying goal, but yet to breach Angel Fernandez's goal. Another change here for Inter Miami FC. Off the bench, Benjamin Cramashi. He scored against Kansas City on Sunday. He's played with Inter Miami 2 already. And the goal scorer, Pedro Fife, comes off.
More load management. Fife starting previous games. Got his personal 30 minutes. We see the trend, 20 to 30 minutes for some of these key players. As you pointed out, an active regeneration, making sure they don't sit all day, but also don't get the full load of the 60-minute match. And what a goal that was from Fife, too. We've seen some spectacular finishes, upper 90 toe pokes, outside of the foot. But the 22-yard, one-touch bent around the goalie, that's going to go on the top list.
Missed handball there. Miami will play on. Help from the 4th official. Good referee in there. Famel Restrepo was looking elsewhere. Missed it, but help from his friends.
And it was the right call on that handball, too. Hand slightly off the body.
Good question for you, Bobby, in the Twitch chat. Again, send your questions to twitch.tv/MLS in the group chat. A question from Legate Blake, who's been active today. Bobby, how do youth academies typically pick up players? Combination of trials, scouting, and local leagues?
Great question. Most of the academies at this point have a full-time scout whose job it is to really know every club, every player in the age groups that they have. But they also certainly will find players from playing them in their own competitions. So if, take for example, Inter Miami plays another team from that South Florida region, they will certainly keep that in mind and talk to that player and have a conversation with the club and the parents. So there's a variety of methods between full-time scouts, playing them, and then of course word of mouth. If you are a good partner in your community, then hopefully other teams, other families will want to come join you or have their players join you.
Frustration's boiling over here. We have a good edge to this match. The Group G decider. Inter Miami's already won the group, but AS Roma needs to win to have any hope of advancing to the round of 16. Another free kick coming, and really the last 15 minutes or so has been played in Roma's attacking end.
There's a big gap between the goalkeeper and the players at the top of the box. The challenge here will be having the whip to attack it before the defenders drop, even though the wind will carry it into the goalkeeper. And I think for this one, if you're Roma, you err on the side of putting it into the goalkeeper. Make Fernandez deal with a similar ball to the one that he spilled before.
The man down is Fernando Sanchez. As he is being attended to, the referee talks it over. Good comments here in the Twitch chat from MR Mujak, describing what it takes for a good academy. His opinion: culture, scouting, coaching facilities, and pathway. These are the 5 things to make a difference. So it will be interesting what contributes to success. AS Roma, free kick from this near side. Over the bar. Trying to get the perfect bend on it from Fabrizio Marazzacchi.
I think they erred too much on the side of the air there. Can see what they were going for, but too much, especially with the wind at the ball's back.
Comment in the chat: Atlanta United has some summer soccer camps, usually a good place to get noticed.
Matt, I'm getting live text from Goss, who is walking the facility right now. He says 1-0 Columbus over SKC. An Owen Prethis penalty kick. Oh, sorry, free kick. And Portland also appears to be down 1-0.
To Sporting Kansas City.
Columbus over St. Louis. David says his autocorrect got in the way there. So Columbus over St. Louis, SKC over Portland.
And again, we're talking about the U17 division. Which teams enter the day with the best chance of being one of the 6 best second place finishers?
Matt, what's the time that autocorrect hurt you the most? I'm just kidding. You don't have to answer that one on Twitch.
AS Roma forced to defend for one of the first times in the last quarter hour or so as we enter the 49th minutes. Let's just run through the second place teams entering play today as we look at the under-17 standings before play began. River Plate was on 4 points to start the day. LA Galaxy on 3. Atlanta United, one of the aforementioned teams, 6 points. Roma on 2 points and playing its 3rd game today. Minnesota United lost. It's on 6 points after completing its group stage. Rayados and New York City FC were both on 6 points. Rayados beat New York City FC. Sounders on 4 points entering the day. Houston Dynamo on 6 points through 2 games.
In both of these results we just talked about, Columbus over St. Louis right now, Sporting Kansas City over Portland, significant ramifications. It means that Columbus jumps over St. Louis in their group to qualify to the knockout round. St. Louis needs to get a goal back in these next 10 minutes and Sporting Kansas City have propelled themselves up near Inter Miami. It means Inter Miami needs to hold on to the win here if they want to win the group. And again, if you win the group, you will not play one of the top teams. Manchester United, Philadelphia Union, waiting at the top of those standings. So Miami needs to hold on to this result if they want to keep a top seed. And Columbus is jumping St. Louis in Group B.
And that's just wide of the far post. So we do know 3 teams that have finished the group stage on 6 points in second place. One of those, New York City FC, one of those, Houston Dynamo, and the other, Minnesota United.
We're also told that Solar, the late invite out of the Dallas area, has just taken a lead over Toronto FC. It puts Solar on 9 points, 3 for 3. Right now, our perfect teams are Manchester United in Group F, Monterrey in Group E, and potentially here Inter Miami on your screen. If Solar keep this win over Toronto FC, they propel to 9 points. Fantastic performance for the local club.
Again, 30-minute halves here at the Generation Adidas Cup. There's a cross, headed clear. If it's tied after 60 minutes, straight to a penalty shootout. Roma shouting for a penalty. Looked like a fair challenge.
You made a comment a few minutes ago about the majority of the game is now being played in Miami's final third, and we didn't get to it, but it's a great point. And it's worth noting that Roma still have not gotten clear chances. Yes, the spill and a couple near-post shots you would expect Fernandez to deal with every time. Credit to Inter Miami for managing the game. Not every 60-minute stretch or 90-minute stretch is going to be the beautiful game. It's not going to be the principles of play that you want to instill. There are stretches that you need to survive to live another day. That's what they're going through, and they're absolutely surviving so far. Tons of credit to the center backs, Kise and Boatwright.
And we're seeing the coaching staff in front of us for Roma, Marco Ciralli, the head coach, telling his players, stop the talking, you're slowing the game down, you may have a point to make to the referee, but the minutes are ticking away.
And again, Roma has to win. They need 2 goals in the final 8 minutes here.
A change for Inter Miami and Javier Morales. It's Miles Perkovic. He's another from the class of 2006. He's into the match. Bouncing in there. Roma clearly thought there was a handball. They want a penalty. Play on for Inter Miami the other way. Good transition. Roma wins it back. And there's a great sliding win for Inter Miami. Oh, nice work. Desperation at the back from John Paul Tuati to put away that danger. Great tension and energy here on Field 4.
Really around the whole facility. You hear bigger crowds, louder cheers. Whenever something happens, it permeates through the entire field, or through the whole place right now.
Felipe Valencia was the man who departed for Miles Perkovic. Oh, there's something that's unfortunate. Play on for AS Roma. You had a player going down for a header. The other player for AS Roma tried to play the bouncing ball. Dangerous there from Sebastian Otero, who tried to nod a bouncing ball. Corner kick for AS Roma. Italians have looked dangerous from these corner kicks today. Everyone back for Inter Miami. All but one forward for Roma. Too far. A wasted corner kick.
We've seen this so many times. Teams struggling to understand the impact of the win. They leave the corner kicks hanging and they go far post and beyond the end line. It's happened more than you'll ever see here. And you would think by day 3 there would have been an adjustment to not just deal with it, but to use it to your advantage.
Bobby, a question about goalkeepers from James Fraga. Who have been the most impressive goalkeepers for both U15, U17?
Fernandez has moved his way into that list here today with his performance for Inter Miami. Emmanuel Ochoa, first team contract, playing down at the under-17s for the San Jose Earthquakes, was excellent.
I think it's been consistent goalkeeping, Bobby. It's hard to keep up with all the names, but we've seen save after save on this field all week.
Another live update. The Columbus Crew versus St. Louis is now tied. St. Louis moves back into contention to qualify out of their group. Columbus drop out.
A shout for a penalty, but the referee said he got the ball. Inter Miami breaks the other way. Good strength from Benjamin Kramashi. And now the emotions really rising here. AS Roma bench.
Love this.
Not pleased with some of the calls.
And this is what you want. This is what everyone around Generation Adidas Cup wants. The pressure, the tension. You want to feel like you are fighting for everything in these last few minutes.
Some questions in the chat about who might go through. We'll get to those in a moment. It's on for AS Roma. Inviting ball, but nobody got there for the Italians. The latest to arrive on the scene was Jacopo Cericchio, number 17, but that was a really good ball to the top of the area. You would expect a Roma runner to latch onto that.
Chief Scores correspondent David Goss says the LA Galaxy have taken a 1-0 lead over the Colorado Rapids. That now puts the Galaxy in contention for a second place spot to qualify for the round of 16.
They could become the fourth team to hit 6 points as a second place finisher, joining Houston Dynamo, Minnesota United, and New York City FC. Shouts from another field. Looks like Columbus Crew have scored. Right across the way, across from us on field 4. Crew SC has a goal. And here comes Roma. Inter Miami has pushed forward. Roma. Oh, the back heel. But the flag was up.
Man, I feel like Woj on NBA trade deadline day. It's just coming so fast right now.
Are you surprised at all that Inter has not shut it down and tried to protect the lead, and that they've continued to play such open, expansive soccer?
I'm not sure I would have described it that way. I would have said they have largely shut it down and gone into result mode. I was tempted to say survival mode, but they're not trying to survive. They're methodically keeping numbers behind the ball, playing it safe, not taking risk out of the back. And yes, you're right. They do have the 3 attackers who have the freedom to fly forward if the moment comes. But whenever I think about a team's stance in the moment, I look at 2 different spots, the defensive midfielder and the outside backs. Those are the 2 main levers you can pull on how much risk or exposure you want. And most of this half, those 3 players, the 2 fullbacks and the defensive midfielder, have stayed home for this team.
Yeah, it feels like there's been many transitional moments for Roma where it's been 5-on-4, 4v5, and Miami's done a good job, but Roma's been threatening down just a single goal. Goal kick coming to AS Roma. They're going to try to get a change in before the goal kick is taken. They'll tell their goalkeeper to stop, and the whistle blown. Off the bench for AS Roma, Ricardo Paletta. He had the tying goal against Portland yesterday. Ricardo Paletta will try to recreate that here in the final couple minutes. Right now, AS Roma has 2 minutes plus stoppage time to score 2 goals to have any hope of advancing to the round of 16 as one of the 6 best second place finishers. Roma picks up the second ball. 6 into the attack. Nice handling from Angel Fernandez on the floated cross. Inter Miami now will attack with 4. A fifth joining. Pushing for a second goal. Turning the corner here, Miles Perkovic. And a free kick given to AS Roma. Too much from Perkovic there. Five minutes will be added on here at the end of the second half. So 5 minutes for Roma to score 2 goals.
Okay, Matt, I'm doing the math right now to try and understand who advances based on the results as they stand. Inter Miami is in. We know that. So are the other winners of each group. That is 10 advancing to the next round and the 6 best second place teams. As it stands, the 6 second best place teams would be Sporting Kansas City, who are currently winning. The Seattle Sounders, who have 7 points.
We know there's 4 teams on 6 points.
And FC Dallas with 7 points. Those 3 are the best second place qualifiers. From there, the next tiebreaker is the number of wins. We have more than 3 teams, which would complete the 16 on 6 points. So the next tiebreaker is wins to decide between them.
And most of those would have 2 wins.
Well, you could have 2 ties because you won a PK or lost a PK. So the Houston Dynamo have 2 wins right now with 6 points.
Minnesota has 2 wins. New York City has 2 wins.
Exactly. Those are the other 3 teams, which means that tournament favorites coming in, LAFC, would be out. Atlanta United would be out. The LA Galaxy would be out.
And each of those are on 5 points?
They're on 6 points.
Okay.
So we had thought coming in that 6 points might be enough. As it stands, if the scores remain over the last minute, some teams with 6 points will not make it through.
Nearly a second here for Inter Miami. They're pushing forward. AS Roma appears to be tiring. And a man down inside the area for AS Roma. The goalkeeper also shaken up. The chance fell there. A good look from Sebastian Otero. One of their final, Solar has completed its 1-0 win over Toronto FC. So really, we thought 6 points would be enough. It appears it is not necessarily enough. If you're having 6 points through 3 games at the U17 level, you're not guaranteed to be through.
From the international front, that means perennial GA Cup powerhouse Flamengo will not qualify for the top part of the knockout round. They do not have a chance to win. Club Tijuana is out. Tigres is through. Santos Laguna out. AS Roma is out. And then always one of the favorites, River Plate, is through. They did make it through in the end.
So where does that leave San Jose Earthquakes? They are out. It's a tough week. 3 games in 3 days, and you can look great. You can have some great results. San Jose beat River Plate in a penalty shootout, but they appear for now to be the second place finisher in that group. Again, there's 10 groups of 4. The 10 group winners go through automatically. Then the 6 best second place finishers make up the rest of the round of 16.
And shout out to David Goss for hustling around this complex right now, getting us scores. The man is quick. I've seen him on a soccer field. As a center back, he can cover ground.
Well, he's utilizing parents and other strangers to help with the scores, to help keep tabs on things. AS Roma with about a minute remaining. Again, Roma needs 2 goals to win this game. 5 points would not be enough, as the other results have shown, but still a win in regulation for the Italians. And every team is still guaranteed 5 games, so it's not like the teams that don't advance the round of 16 are done. You'll play 5 games here in Frisco. A turnover for Inter Miami. Now it's 3 versus 3 here in the 5th minute of added time. Good strike, good save. It falls to the top of the area. It's nodded away. Well hit there by Miles Perkovic. Excellent save. Vladislavs Razumevas. Whistles blowing on other fields. You look at the celebrations. You try to take cues. The nearby field Columbus game is over. Advantage play for AS Roma. Bodies flying now. 2 Roma players down. After that foul committed by Cesar Abadiareta. Sporting Kansas City, Bobby, has completed its 2-0 win. Sporting Kansas City through to the round of 16.
Sporting Kansas City
moves to 5 points as a 2nd place finisher.
So SKC is not through.
Columbus win is confirmed. Columbus over St. Louis. Restart from midfield. Dying seconds here on field 4. And it's over the bar. Good chance. Final touch. And a celebration for Inter Miami. A perfect group stage for Inter Miami. 3 wins from 3. And Bobby Warshaw, your thoughts?
Deserved victory for Inter Miami. It's not going to be the beautiful soccer that we have expected as we see action breaking out after the final whistle.
Obviously not what you want to see, but it was bubbling to the surface in the second half. 2 teams fighting for every single inch of the fields. And some emotions running high on day 3.
To finish that thought, Matt, I thought it was an excellent performance in Inter Miami. Not the beautiful soccer that they want to play, but sometimes you have to grind it out, which is what we saw. They didn't concede too many chances. When they did, Fernandez came up big.
And some other final scores before we go off air. FC Dallas 1-1 going to penalties. The Galaxy completed its 1-0 win. Columbus, Sporting Kansas City, and Solar also winners. For Bobby Warshaw and David Goss and our entire crew, Matt Peterson saying so long. Inter Miami, a perfect group stage, on to the round of 16 as winners of Group G.